to get President Johnson, and this is President Johnson and the First Lady, Mrs. Johnson, stepping out of the helicopter on the White House lawn for a meeting which he had already called with congressional leaders. This is about 6:30 this evening, Eastern Standard Time, in the nation's capital. The newsmen had already been summoned to the White House press room, waiting for the president's arrival, and the key congressional leaders rushed in to the presidential office, which Mr. Johnson did not use for the entire evening. The meeting was brief, and a single motorcycle escort then led President Johnson, with Mrs. Johnson in the car, to his own home in Northwest Washington. This is the car entering the gate of his home. He did not stay at the White House, as you know. This is the crowd outside the Johnson home in Northwest Washington, and as the gates were closed, that crowd increased. The security guard, however, was not increased. It is both now city police and Secret Service men. The Naval Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, where the body of the late President Kennedy still lies. This is Secretary of Defense Robert MacNamara, who is waiting at this point for the arrival of Mrs. Kennedy. Mrs. Kennedy, her two children, and their nurse,
and arranged for the private service. But this is his home at about 8:45 this morning. When he left it, it's about 5 miles from the White House in the northwest section of Washington. When he left his home to go down to the White House and to the Vice President's office in the Executive Office building across the street. He is still using the Vice President's office. The flag at half-mast at the White House. John McCone and McGeorge Bundy. John McCone, the head of the CIA. McGeorge Bundy, the officer in charge of national security affairs, were the first two to call upon the President and brief him on the world situation as of the moment. This is apparently a daily tradition in Washington that the President gets an early morning briefing on everything that might affect the nation's security. They then went across the street to the executive offices shortly after his arrival. As these films show, our NBC cameramen have been with Mr. Eisenhower since he arrived in the nation's capital. This is at the National Airport. The White House sent a car to pick up the former president. He has been in rather a grim-jawed mood all morning in all our pictures, hanging on to his own emotions. His arrival at the White House with the courtesies of his title. He was one of the first of the dignitaries to reach the White House this morning and pay his respects to the slain President John F. Kennedy. He then joined Mrs. Johnson and President Johnson in the executive office lobby for discussions with President Johnson, and of course to offer any assistance he can contribute to help the new chief executive. This is that meeting between the President, Mr. Johnson, and former President, Mr. Eisenhower.